Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Level 1 News. We had a misstart, but we're back now with the right set of one tabs. Today's December 21st. I think we're doing government and social. Was it social?
Yes.
No.
Nope.
Robot.
Oh, wait. Yeah, government robot.
That's
Government
it.
robot.
We got it. Ryan's still
Mostly
remote
space,
this week.
though.
Yeah.
Mostly space.
Ron's still remote and has a lot of cats.
Who?
Guess who else got a cat this week?
Oh, that's right.
The chat knows about that, but I don't know that the viewers do.
They don't. How is that working out?
It's working. He's really good. He's super sweet and affectionate. I was not, when we went to the shelter to pick him up, I wasn't 100% sold on him at first because, like, he was very, very shy, and I wasn't sure if that was normal for cats, but apparently it is. And now he's, like, super affectionate. He already climbed on my desk and turned off my PC the other day by accident, so off to a good start.
It's probably.
Are you going to tell? Are you someday going to tell him that you weren't sure at first?
Well, I think my husband knew because my husband was 100% like in love with him, and I was like, he seems so shy, and I was like, I don't know that he likes us, and he's like, no, this is just how cats are, and he was right.
Well, little Timmy, we were previewing you at the adoption shelter, but we just weren't sure.
We weren't sure. I don't know. There was a great calico there that was very affectionate.
You were acting just a little too weird. We just weren't sure.
No, he's been great. He's been good with Rue too. Like him and Rue are getting along pretty well, all things considered. He doesn't like it when Rue gets like excited and tippy tappy, but otherwise, like they hang out.
Isn't that 90% of the time?
No, like she's great. We took a picture of them this morning, and they weren't laying like up on each other, but they were laying next to each other and not bothering each other. So I consider that a win.
You know who else is laying next to each other, not bothering each other? The Devember contest between the Minecraft folks and the Linode developer folks. So we're running two Devember projects, two contests, I guess.
Yeah.
To give away stuff. And if you haven't entered, it's probably already too late, but there is still a $100 credit for Linode. If you've never signed up for Linode before, you can get a $100 credit. And you can use Linode to do such things as self-host a VPN or self-host your own book server or media server or your own private, cloud document thing. And you can be pretty sure that there's not weird algorithms scanning your stuff because it's Linode. It's a server you control. Heck, you can even use full disk encryption. So thanks, Linode, for sponsoring those contests.
Also, it's not too late to do the Minecraft contest. You can always come in late and build something just for fun.
Yeah, there are a few of the folks that are in the Minecraft contest who will build for like 35, 40 hours straight and then collapse into a coma for about 12 hours and then do another 30 hours in the build.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's pretty hard on your kidneys, I think.
It's hard on your kidneys, but man, your builds look amazing.
Well, you're going to do it without the jug? You got to use the jug.
He can't say the full word because we'll be demonetized.
You know who else was using the jug? That was judges at the federal circuit trying to get this law marked as unconstitutional before it went into effect. They moved at record speed.
Victory! Federal court blocks
Wait.
Texas. Oh,
Something's not right. Sorry.
it went to the one tab, but
It
not
went to the wrong thing.
We've had all kinds of weird things with the one tab today.
There you go.
There we go. Victory! Federal court blocks Texas unconstitutional social media law.
Yeah, so this was one of those things where, you can't say certain things on social media, and in America, at least, social media is allowed to control their platform. They provide a place for you to post stuff, and if they don't like your post, they can delete it. If they don't like your video, they can just arbitrarily say, nope. And, not everybody has a Patreon and a float plane to support them in such times.
I was torn reading about this because I was like, on one hand, you don't want to have to be forced to host something you don't agree with, but at the same time, like, because we have so many monopolies, like, it's really difficult to get a dissenting opinion out if you're not, on one of those platforms.
Yeah, it's like, this is to stop social media companies' purported discrimination against conservative users. This is going to be a theme for this week. We're also going to talk about this in the context of Russia and some stuff in Europe. So we'll call back to this. Don't worry. Switching gears.
Ugh. Pelosi rejects stock trading ban for members of Congress. We are a free market economy. We should be able to participate in that. She didn't say we, she said they, but she is a member, so.
Well, she was talking about the spouses.
Oh yeah,
but Pelosi's always been such a champion of the free market.
Well, just if you mirror her trades, you're up like 130% this year. So which is way above the norm. So clearly she's good at it.
I was being
Or her husband.
sarcastic. Pelosi is a communist. She only wants this when it benefits her.
Well, it's definitely benefiting her right now. Isn't that how it usually goes? Like we're at such a level of dysfunction and dishonesty that nobody says anything that they actually expect to happen. That's another theme for this week is like, politicians. Well, we'll get to that, but it's so frustrating.
Well, it was right at the start of the thing, the troubled times we're in. I remember some other Congress critters were caught getting rid of certain stocks because they were like, oh, that's not going to be relevant after this happens.
Yeah.
And it's like,
is that the free market, or were you briefed in something? And it turns
do you know something the rest of the public doesn't?
It turns out the answer was they knew something that the public doesn't. And
Yeah.
also, like Martha Stewart, this is why Martha Stewart went to federal prison. And Congress is like, it's fine.
It's fine for us.
It's fine.
But I think she also sort of, based on that statement, she didn't say it, but you could infer based on that statement, she expects us to believe that she doesn't discuss any of these things with her husband.
They only discuss with lawyers.
Yeah. You know what's not discoverable in the U.S. court system? Conversations between a husband and wife. That's not eligible for admission as evidence. Or at least to be compelled as evidence, I guess.
We don't need testimony. We have stock records.
And text messages. and emails and other things, which I guess probably would be discoverable. But you know who's not going to be listed on the stock market anytime soon?
U.S. lawmakers want to put NSO Group, 3 other spyware makers, out of business with fresh, severe sanctions.
Well, it's about time. I mean, this only took, 3 years? When was the first NSO Group story? It was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
It could be time compression, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been that long.
And it's only because of recent things that happened, I think, where it's like, wait a minute, politicians talking to other politicians, that might be discoverable in a court case?
What?
It's funny how that works. I don't know. It's good, but I can't help but think that it was obviously this bad years ago. What is it about the current situation that's making them take action now as opposed to 3 years ago?
Attention?
Yeah, the people are looking at it and saying, wait a minute, what are you doing? This surely is also not a coincidence.
U.S. to add more Chinese firms to investment export blacklists.
Now, there's a bunch of companies in this list, but some of them you guys have heard of, like DJI, the drone maker. They're on the list. And the reason they're on the list is some of the aforementioned kidney harvesting that we always like to joke about. And there are always people that show up in the comments that are like, that's not true. And it's like,
Pretty sure we have satellite imagery of all that, right?
Yeah.
And firsthand accounts.
Definitely some disturbing imagery and some, it's actually probably not something to joke about, but that is ostensibly why these firms are on the list. Another one added to the list is the Sugon server that I reviewed from China, which is like the AMD China partnership for when Ryzen first launched. They've also been formally added to the parent company has also been formally added to the list.
It's interesting that Disney's not, considering they thanked the region where they shot Mulan, which was near those camps.
Yeah.
In the film, they were like, "Thanks for letting us in here, China."
Yeah, I mean
no sanctions against Disney.
Yeah, I don't know. Switching gears to domestic things that are happening.
OSHA opens probe into deadly Amazon warehouse collapse in Illinois. This was part of the tornado. Several of you had asked last week, was that here? No, we're in a different part of the state, but it was pretty brutal series of storms.
This part of the country is not really equipped to deal with storms this severe in terms of building code, construction, stuff like that. I mean, this is the Amazon warehouse collapse in Illinois. The Amazon people are probably severely underpaid. The candle factory that collapsed here, $8 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think that building was built to be, storm shelter standards?
Which, it's not even that it needs to be the whole building, but you would think that they would have a large enough interior space that would be at least relatively safe. But it sounds like a lot of them were just cramming into bathrooms, and it's like, oh.
Or trying to leave and not being allowed to.
Yeah.
The big thing, I don't know about the trying to leave thing. I don't know if that's been proven, but the big thing that has come out of this is what are the safety implications of banning your employees from having phones?
Yeah. We don't want you to play on your phone. And it's like, but I need to get the emergency alert that's take shelter now.
Or call 911 because we're trapped in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Right.
after the fact, yeah. Yeah, one would think that when you go off of the floor and into the bathroom to shelter that they would give you your phone back, but I guess that would be on the other side of campus. So
Yeah, you might not even have time, especially if you
No.
have like, 5 minutes before it's supposed to hit you.
No, remember there's a whole, I think it's like a 30-minute process where you're kind of airlocked out of the factory.
Oh, that's right. Because, that was the whole labor board thing. Because it's like, do we have to pay people for that? And it turns out, yes, Amazon must pay people for that. But yeah, it takes 30 minutes.
Your phone comes at the end of that process.
That, I feel bad
And
for the
honestly,
workers.
if that were you, would you ever take your phone into the factory in the first place?
Probably
You
not.
leave it in your car.
Yeah. Because it's just not worth the hassle. Wasn't
They
there...
might lose it.
Wasn't there a big thing about this in like, I think the Chicago fire? Like one of those factories killed a bunch of people because they chained the doors shut?
That
So it's-
happened in Bangladesh too.
Yeah.
The building was literally falling apart. The owners knew about it. They locked people in and were like, finish your shift, and then it collapsed.
Yeah, that's
Bad news.
not good for Amazon. Amazon's probably going to have a lot of quiet settlements out of this. Probably some of the other companies as well.
I think some of the delivery drivers, I don't think we had a story about it, but the delivery drivers had texts from their supervisors. They're like, the sirens are going off and I have a tornado warning on my phone. I need to go home. And they're like, no, finish delivering packages. And it's like, oh,
That's going to be pretty damning unless those people died in the thing. It's like, oh, we can blame this person that was that had conveniently died, and it was their poor judgment. It wasn't the company. And it's like, that's not how that's supposed to work.
yeah.
Anyway,
Biden will sign an executive order to move government services online.
now this sounds like a good thing, and you can read this and feel good about it and all this kind of stuff. But I want to remind you, when the IRS did this, they moved some of their stuff online. A lot of people didn't actually move online. They were still doing stuff through paper. This opened up a door for scammers. So a scammer could pretend to be you, because your information's all out there anyway, and go and steal your tax refund. Because it's like, hey, I'm going to do all this online. And it's like, yes, 93-year-old grandma, we will be happy to send your IRS refund check to not the address we have on file, but the Cayman Islands or whatever. And it continues to be kind of a big problem today. Now imagine that across all government agencies.
See, I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, does this mean like I don't have to go to the DMV? But now I've thought about it in a whole new light.
Well, the DMV's already sold all your information if you live in California. We've covered that. Woo! I don't know. Ryan, you're awful quiet.
Yeah.
It's hard with the delay.
Sorry.
I'm not going to compete. I'm just going to sit here. So
Sorry.
whatever.
This one was a good one. The FAA.
Says lack of federal whistleblower protections is enormous factor hindering Blue Origin safety review.
Do you remember when we did the story about the Blue Origin orbital flight and there were the red alarm buttons in the cockpit, and one of the passengers was like, that's weird, there's some red alarm buttons. That's supposed to be mission abort.
Oh,
They didn't abort. Then some whistleblowers showed up and said, hey, we would like to blow the whistle, but there's not actually any kind of law protecting us if we blow the whistle. How many people are blowing the whistle? 21. 21 people are signed on with this company, I guess, has agreed to protect their anonymity. And there are 21 of them, and they say that this is a really toxic workplace. And the engineers and stuff say that, whenever they say something like, hey, maybe we should put some more engineering into this, the suits are, we'll shoot them down, and it's a very toxic, argumentative workplace.
sounds about right. That's on brand for Bezos.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably freaking out because they're behind schedule, right?
He wants to be Elon Musk, and he wants to be person of the year. And
Weird
he's
person to be.
Yeah, he's not feeling it.
Well, it's a rule for the whole industry. I have a feeling this wasn't Musk and Bezos. It's too old. I have a feeling this was like Boeing and Raytheon and everybody. But because they're trying to get to space quickly, they've just removed all of the worker protections. They're like, hey, if we need to get to space quickly, we can't have you blowing whistles.
So, some of you may die, and I'm okay with that.
And the government's like, yes, we agree with that.
How unsettling is it if you're an engineer inside one of these aerospace companies working on this stuff, and it's like, well, I'm making pretty good money. I got to take care of my kids, but my manager doesn't want me to say no. But people
Well, I
will
tell you,
die.
it's not nearly as harrowing as it is if you're an astronaut working for those companies.
For real. Or just a tourist. Does that make you feel good if you've been up on one of those flights before?
I
But
wonder
if you're
Go ahead.
if you're a tourist, you get what you deserve.
Right. Right.
William Shatner really wanted like the Scotty, the engines are flying apart captain, and it's like, I'll land it, to be the hero. I can imagine that playing out.
He's
How,
humming Rocket Man to himself as it comes apart.
He literally was a rocket man. Just, I don't know. It would be nice if they had federal protection. That probably should be a thing. You know what else probably should be a thing?
oh, I can't read the headline. U.S. built and
Tested a secret mobile voting system before the 2020 election.
oh, we got paywalled here. I read this one though.
The Washington Post kind of flubbed the headline here. It was blockchain. They did a blockchain system.
Right.
Yeah. So this would be, the Postal Service is already intimately involved with like the whole vote by mail thing. And so this is basically a blockchain electronic version of that, where they would issue tickets and then you could use those to vote and also confirm that your vote counted.
Remember when we found out the Postal Service had done like a social media surveillance platform?
Yeah.
They've got all these black projects going through the USPS. What is that about?
Well, they have a lot of money. Even though it doesn't look like they have a lot of money, other people are raiding their piggy bank to make it look like they don't have a lot of money, but they actually have a lot of money.
I wish they would spend it more on my postal deliveries rather than these things.
Actually, I think at this point, USPS is well ahead of FedEx, so I'm not going to complain.
I have to go to the post office later, and I'm kind of dreading it because I know it's going to be packed.
I'm pretty sure that our FedEx driver now has a personal vendetta against us because every time they haven't attempted delivery, I filed a complaint.
Ooh.
So I think you're going to have a tough time getting to the post office before they close today.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I was hoping I came into town early, but I spent so much time in line at the bank that I couldn't make it to the post office before we had to start filming. So
Yeah, a lot of people's days have been ruined by the holidays and things popping up at the last minute and
Yeah.
stuff catching on fire, and then you have to deal with it. People just around you realizing that it's been an entire year and they haven't done any work at all, and then so all of a sudden it's your problem and you have to help them do their work, and or something breaks.
CISA tells federal agencies to patch Log4J before Christmas.
Now, we mentioned Log4J, not by name, on last episode. It's like, law, we had to patch the Minecraft server. Turns out that flaw goes deep, very
Yeah.
deep. And these federal agencies, the federal employees, they're already checked out. They're already gone. They're already on holiday. Their computers are online and probably under control of some nation state or a 13-year-old in suburbia. Yeah, it's a pretty severe vulnerability.
There's a banner on top of the forum about it right now. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, everybody it's like, I was trying to go on vacation and now this is broken. Don't ignore it.
There's a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth, rending of garments.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't come up with a lead-in for this one. It's too hard. I'm trying too hard.
Scientists urge creating strategic forest reserves to mitigate climate change and protect biodiversity. Was this a bait story for me, Ryan?
No, I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought this was great.
No, I mean, I knew you would react to it. Actually, I'm not sure why I put this in government.
It has a good tie-in for a story that we have in Nonsense about bacteria,
Did I see that one? I don't remember.
about eating plastic and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one.
We will cover that later, kind of. But basically, it's just, hey, we're going to plant some forest and leave it alone and try to keep the biodiversity going, because that might be the only forest that reseeds life on the planet after we've destroyed everything else.
I think they wanted, I can't remember what the percentage was. Was it like 20 or 30% they wanted to protect in the western part of the U.S.?
Yeah, 30% protection of forest area in the West. You know, we have there are areas like this in the Daniel Boone National Forest where like they'll log and replant and then move on, and log and replant and move on. That's worked okay.
Well, they should probably just not log it, though. Like, we've lost a lot of old growth in the Daniel Boone. And also that introduces, when you cut down trees like that, you get more sunlight coming in, obviously, because the trees are gone. And that opens it up for invasives to move in because
Yeah.
invasives love having all that sun. So, like, you don't see a lot of invasive plants like kudzu in areas that have old growth because it's too shady. They can't survive there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, forest management. We're only just rediscovering the science.
Yeah.
I would totally go halves with them on a big piece here if they would build me a house and let me live there till I die. Like
Yeah.
those people in Alaska where I get grandfathered in, but nobody else can live there.
Once the house is gone, it'll be reclaimed by the forest. That would be a pretty cool monument, like 200
Oh.
years. That is like, this is the last person.
You don't have to make it the house. You can tie it to me because I don't care. I'm not going to have kids. So that's the thing about the people in Alaska. They kept having kids, so those kids are still there, some of them.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe you choose a new caretaker at that point.
The only problem with that plan is that there's never any internet. Certainly, probably not in anywhere, hardly in Alaska, and nowhere in Daniel Boone, hardly.
Well, Elon Musk is fixing that.
Yeah.
That could be tough to
Maybe.
use in the middle of a forest.
Yeah.
How cool would it be that you have to climb to the top of, like, you plant a redwood, or you find a redwood and you climb to the top of it, and that's where your little dish is.
That's how you get your satellite internet.
Every year you got to patch in another couple of feet to the cord because it's stretched really tight. Because the tree, keeps it doesn't stop.
One bad
growing.
windstorm, and that's all over.
Yeah. Speaking of something that just keeps on growing, it's maybe not a good thing.
Apple and Google's mobile duopoly likely to face UK antitrust action.
So the UK's antitrust body is saying, "Hey, wait a minute. You two are not acting like you're competing with one another. You're acting like you're working together to subvert other competition. That's probably not okay. We need some documents." So,
Another fine. Another day, another fine for them. Most likely.
I'm trying to give Ryan like a lot of time to say something, but
Oh, there's not a lot to say about this, is there?
There's not- Look,
Yeah.
I don't know. This is not hard. Intro, title, commentary. That is all there is. Once it's gone, I don't know what you expect.
what do you expect with Bitcoin could become worthless? The Bank of England warns.
I don't have
Well, you
Bitcoin.
completely messed it up.
Oh, sorry.
I think this is weird because as we've seen a wave of acceptance from all the major banks, and yet here the central banks are coming out and saying, "Oh, I don't know."
Doesn't this undermine the argument that all fiat currency is basically the same? Like, in his argument, I didn't see anything that wouldn't apply to everything except like bullion.
He did say this is an alternate link. This was a paywall link, but the other headline was that he said it wasn't like a systemic risk. It was just a risk to you personally.
It's like the quote. The quote was, "The problem is that unlike traditional forms of money, Bitcoin isn't used to price things other than itself." That sure sounds like a lot like the dollar.
Well, yeah, he also said something about, like, it's not backed by anything, and I was like, "Is the dollar's not really backed by anything anymore, is it?" Like, that's a Spider-Man
well,
meme.
The thing about the dollar that they always come back to is it is the full faith and credit of the United States government, which doesn't make me feel good at all.
No,
Have you seen the world events? I mean,
That's so let's take that and take the United States government out of it and just put in a piece of the United States government, and let me say it to you as full faith and credit in Nancy Pelosi.
my stomach turned a little bit. Our next headline.
citing fires, London's transport agency bans e-scooters on public transit network.
So you can't use these in the street, and you can't use them on the sidewalk, and now you can't carry them with you on the train or buses. And the reason is because of the lithium-ion batteries, and the reason is because the lithium-ion batteries catch on fire. This is probably not the correct response. The reason the lithium-ion batteries catch on fire is because they're cheap imports.
I was trying to look through this to see if there was more than a couple of instances of this, and it doesn't look like there is. I wonder if there's some like car companies or oil companies or somebody doing something here.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing has happened for sure with laptop batteries. Maybe not as severe because laptop batteries are smaller, but foldable e-bikes were also permitted, and those have got to have a comparable size battery.
Yeah, I think there might be somebody here who just doesn't like the scooters because they're competition.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, look, there is a video here on this article.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was at least one.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be breathing all of this on a
Public
train.
transport. Yeah,
I mean, it's a bad situation, but a lot of this goes away not buying crappy lithium-ion batteries. And maybe you could go so far as to like certify certain brands of e-scooter as being like London Tube approved because they have an insurance policy and a guarantee that they'll do quality control to not buy crappy lithium-ion batteries. But
but I could change that battery.
yeah, you could change that, but that would make that illegal. Everything is already illegal in the UK. What's one more thing? You
I have to get a license for that, right?
Yeah.
You got a
The
license
right
for that
to
battery?
repair. You can't repair your scooter.
Well, you do have a license for the battery, but you don't have a license for the potato peeler. We got to haul you in.
Or the screwdriver. God forbid you have a screwdriver in that scooter somewhere.
Oi, he's got an unlicensed screwdriver. I didn't do
And
that.
a battery. That's 20 years.
You know who else would like you to do 20 years?
France latest to slap Clearview AI with order to delete data.
I'm sure this is a little bit translation, but I love the ruling from France. It's basically, you obtain this data illegally. You scrape the data illegally. Not only do you have to delete the faces that you scraped illegally, you also need to delete the model on which that's based. Because they said, hey, we don't know. We have a model at this point. We don't know, which part of the model was based on that data, which is a little disingenuous. They could just retrain it. But so France said, all right, we'll just delete the whole thing.
Sucks to suck.
Something tells me they won't.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
they
they
will.
won't.
It's 2 breaches. There's an update. In a statement attributed to the CEO and founder, Clearview sought to suggest the company is not subject to the GDPR. Oh, it's a bold move. We'll see if it works out for them. Well, if they're not subject to the GDPR, they're not allowed to sell in the European Union. All right.
Yeah, well, they're saying they don't have any actual presence anywhere there. So it doesn't count.
Clearview is not great, as we've covered in the past. Bloomberg.
Google faces huge fines in Russia as Putin ally wins lawsuit.
So the story that we did on Twitter for our social media, its very first story, copy-paste Twitter and social media and Texas law for Putin and Twitter and YouTube. This has to do
They
with
didn't. They've not experienced that, Wendell.
Oh,
right.
Right.
We messed up the one tabs earlier, so we got 5 minutes into an episode before we realized we were on the wrong section.
I'm not thinking. Okay, we're gonna have a story later about this with the shoe on the other foot. But basically, Russia is saying no. YouTube needs to reinstate this YouTube account that was deleted because YouTube said that they banned it for misinformation, basically. And the Russian government has said, we reviewed it. Information looks good. Reinstate it. And they're fining them an ever-increasing fee daily
I think it
until
was
it's reinstated.
$1,000 a day or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's $1,000 a day, and it doubles every 10 days or something like that. But to Google, I feel like they could just say no to that and let it go a little bit, just to kind of flex.
One of the articles calculated the maximum fine that they would pay if they let it go for 9 months, and that was $1 billion.
Well, that's doubling every time. We'll get you quick.
Yeah. Curious what they'll do.
Yeah.
They'll probably just comply. They always just comply. But
Yeah. It never occurs to these companies. It's like, oh, we should stand up for ideals. It is like, we believe that this is, not in the best interest of humanity to do this. But then when it comes down to it, it's like, well, it's going to interfere with our ability to make money. Oh, okay, never mind.
Now, this is Google using their power to silence political speech for an unpopular political system. It's obviously not going to be case law because it's in Russia, but could it have some bearing on another banned man from Google's platforms?
It's a different set of laws. Well, won't we literally be talking about that in the social media episode this week?
Oh, yeah, there might be one of those in there this week. I forget. I don't remember.
So yeah, exciting times, Dulce. We've definitely got to do that Too Hot for YT episode on float plane. That's coming.
We gotta do the
Yeah, I haven't
podcast,
been
too.
really compiling those as much because of the lockdown, but
It's fun.
maybe after the holidays.
Yeah, the holidays is really crazy. And remember, next week's news is probably going to be live because of the whole holidays this week. Won't have time to put this together, so we'll just do it live.
We usually record on Friday, but obviously Friday's Christmas Eve, so it'll be a little weird next week.
Yeah, we'll do it live like we did a couple of weeks ago. Should be good. You know what else is a little bit weird and a little bit disturbing?
Presentations point to greater Huawei role in China's surveillance than acknowledged. Report.
So we've covered this before. Surveillance companies, Huawei, Hikvision, Dahua, some of the other companies that have been banned. The previous list, not the new list, but the previous list. So some of these documents have come out, and they're internal documents that were meant for party eyes only. And it has things in it like voice recognition and automatic transcripts and automatic keyword detection and detecting somebody's voice, like somebody's voice pattern to be like, that we've identified this individual. The walk patterns for like the crosswalk and all this other kind of stuff. But this was an internal presentation that was basically, hey, why don't you connect our 3, 4, 5 products together and have this total surveillance apparatus? Not a good look.
Also, not surprising.
No.
No.
It also is really disturbing because we probably got the same kind of thing here and just don't realize it. Which is...
I realize it.
Yeah, I think
you
everyone
do
who watches
too.
this program probably realizes that.
Why are all my voice calls being, turned into text files automatically at this point? That's just...
It's easier to search. Don't worry about it. Easier to search for you, not for us.
Yeah, it's just...
Whatever Huawei is doing to the Chinese right now, all of our cars will be doing to us in 10 years.
I really hate that future where like your whole car is going to be so reliant on computers.
That's also foreshadowing for more stories that we have later this week. The coming dystopia of automobiles. India is looking around and saying, semiconductor production in Europe, semiconductor production in the Asian theater, semiconductor production in the United States. Ooh, we need in on this.
India approves 10 billion plan to attract semiconductor and display manufacturers.
So basically, these are incentives to move your manufacturing to India. They've got the people with a high enough education level and work ethic. Why don't they have a part of the semiconductor industry? So they're going after more people to have fabrication things there.
What do you think the cost is for Indian workers versus Chinese workers? Is that better or worse?
Probably better in terms of cost. I think China
What
has
about
a
this-
rising middle class.
Yeah, but what about skill and education? Do you think they can catch up? Because the Chinese have probably a pretty good education system, right?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
India's
I wouldn't sleep on India's tech culture.
yeah, they've got a pretty good education system as well.
That'll be a fun little rivalry if that happens.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at the serial numbers, like, ooh, this is an Indian one.
Well, I mean, Taiwanese Foxconn, that's who I was trying to think of, is looking to leverage this. And Foxconn's everywhere. They're in the Philippines, China, pretty much anywhere you can get inexpensive labor. And they're very interested in this incentive program, according to this article. So we'll see how that shakes out. I'm sure we'll have more stories on that.
I hope they can gainfully employ all the call center scammers so we don't have to deal with them anymore.
Well, can you imagine somebody that has experienced that career track and it's like, when I was a teenager, I started out as a tech support call scammer, and now I'm designing the world's semiconductors, by the time they're like 50 or 60. That would be an incredible career track.
I was thinking of like the Indian tech tuber kind of like classification of guy who it's like you can't find an answer to this one particular question, and there's just this one guy on YouTube, and he's almost always Indian, and he's speaking in a complete monotone, and he tells you how to solve the problem. I'm like, maybe that's the kind of guy who'll get hired.
But it takes him 15 minutes to get to the point, and it's real hard to understand him. I hate those videos.
Yeah, but they do have the answer.
Those are my videos for them, but in English.
That's this channel too.
Changing the subject quickly.
Scientists just found a significant volume of water inside of Mars' Grand Canyon.
So this is at the surface or just barely below the surface?
Was this a little bit of a... I mean, it's not a nothing burger. It's exciting, but like, wasn't it actually... They found indications of hydrogen,
Yeah.
not actual like a canyon of water.
Yeah.
But I think that just means it's either frozen or not. They're pretty
Yeah.
sure it's whatever's down there is wet.
Yeah. And, now whenever we send people there, they're probably going to camp nearby so they can get fresh water.
Yeah, you got a wet camp.
And that's when the Martian piranha will attack.
If there is
swamp country.
If there is something alive there, it's probably evolved to exist in such harsh conditions that it really will be like the Andromeda strain.
Ugh. I wonder if that's like a thing they think about. Like, if they ever send someone up there to explore that area, will they have to be like the alien protocol, never take off your helmet?
Oh, I'm sure it is. When we went to the moon, they had to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah, make sure they didn't have some moon disease.
Yeah, because we don't know. We had no idea.
Didn't they take a gun too?
Yeah, just in case somebody gets like the zombie. It's like, oh,
I love that. I love they were, because the weight is so important on the shuttle, and guns are so heavy. But they're like, you know what? Let's put some lead in here.
You
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, and gunpowder too. I think that would be a bit of a risk on a space flight, but worth it.
What, half an ounce of gunpowder in comparison to solid fuel tubes.
The rocket, yeah.
Yeah, you got to also wonder, it's like, that would not stop a bullet. So, like, if you shot the wrong place, the whole thing would explode. So whatever they were thinking could possibly maybe happen would be so severe that it would be more severe than that, to the point that they're like, yeah, we'll permit a firearm. It's fine.
Or just decompression. I mean, so many things are going to go wrong. You start shooting on the spacecraft.
It's amazing. Speaking of things that are amazing,
NASA's Parker Solar Probe becomes first spacecraft to touch in quotations, the sun.
CNN has some good videos. I guess NASA or somebody published some of the stuff, and there's a black and white one where it's getting like all the high energy particles on the CMOS sensor, and you can see the glow of the Milky Way. It's really incredible stuff.
I would say what part of the sun it touched, but I think it would get us demonetized.
Yeah. But it's the touching it is millions of miles away.
Yeah, it's still very far out.
But it was still technically in a part of the sun. It was like here, but this is, Earth would be like a tiny blue speck about where my mouse cursor is.
Also, how about this craziness? The actual surface of the sun is cooler than this part.
That is sort of madness.
So how do we explain that? I mean, obviously we can't. That's what we're trying to figure out, but that's a crazy thing.
They should have called this probe the Icarus from the popular movie Sunshine.
Uh-oh. I'm getting a bad connection with you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Yeah, you sound fine.
You're going just full robot to me.
Oh, no.
No.
That would happen
Is it
sometimes.
the webcam?
Was it?
Your webcam looks okay to us. You're moving
It's
okay.
so bad. It's real bad.
Are you using Fancy Cam?
What's happening?
They might not be able to understand us.
Oh, I can't even understand it at this point.
Hello. Testing. Can you hear me? Hello.
Just barely.
Okay. Well, we can we'll hope the internet weather clears up in it. It's sunspots. Sunspots are interfering with the transmission.
It's getting a little bit better.
I found when I was doing the remote thing that, like, the Fancy Cam, obviously the image is better, but, like, I did notice it was not always, like, Discord couldn't always keep up with Fancy Cam.
Interesting. You know what else can't always keep up? NASA.
NASA's new sleeping bags could prevent eyeball squashing on the ISS.
So the headline sounds like, what? And then you read it and it's, oh, that's interesting. Because there's no gravity, there's no pressure. Pressure changes. Your eyes adjust to pressure because they're designed to work underwater as well as above water.
Look at this device. I can't imagine ever being comfortable. Because you'd have to be like a cat where your spine could go both ways.
Yeah, it's a mechanical sort of
It's
sleeping
like a
bag.
hoop skirt. Yeah, that thing sucks the moisture down into the lower part of your body. I
Oh,
wonder what that feels like.
Otherwise, this is what happens.
swelling.
They do point out how tragic is this. You can't go to space or fly a fighter jet or a commercial airliner or whatever unless you have 20/20 vision. But after you go to space, you'll probably never have it again.
That seems like a cruel exchange.
That's something that we'll have to figure out, right? Like, if
Well,
we
this is
ever want
supposedly the
to,
answer.
yeah. Will that prevent it entirely, or is it just like mitigating the effect?
You have to have your entire lower body gently sucked. in order to
Give it the
mitigate
small sec.
That's just, why do we even evolve that? That's just crazy.
And you know this is going to get to a point where in space, because it's zero gravity, there's going to be, it's going to look like a muffin tin or plant pots, and you're just going to go and plant yourself into the vacuum, and your upper body's just going to float. That's going to be hilarious.
Oh, you're gonna look like a wacky inflatable tube man.
But except there's going to be 20 of them sleeping.
But I'll sleep better knowing this.
Oh, you scrolled down. NASA's next generation asteroid impact monitoring system goes online.
Turns out we had trouble tracking Volkswagen-sized debris, which could still be kind of important.
Pretty big deal.
And also man-made debris, not great at tracking that. This is going to help solve both of those problems.
Does it seem like NASA just released all their press releases for the year in like this week?
Again, it goes back to we didn't get anything done for the year. Oh no, what do we need to do to prove that we've been working?
We've been working. I can't help but notice, like, every time, SpaceX farts a little bit, they put out a press release, and I'm like, maybe we should hire some of the hype people for SpaceX for NASA. Because NASA's doing a lot of good work, but they just don't talk about it a whole lot until it's like, end of the year.
Yeah, this new system, Sentry 2, has a different philosophy. The new algorithm models thousands of random points, not limited by any assumptions about how the uncertainty region may evolve. Instead, it selects random points throughout the entire uncertainty region. So what are the possible orbits within the entire region of uncertainty that could hit Earth?
So I think the explanation of what you just described is because whoever's in charge of NASA doesn't have severe emotional issues.
They're actually focused on the science probably, and they're like, I don't really want to write a press release right now. And it's like, we really need you to, because I don't fully understand it. Can you give us a breakdown? It's like, I really need to go back to working on landing on the sun.
How messed up is it? I founded SpaceX because I want people to love me.
And yet.
It's not very effective.
U.S. develops tool to predict China response to military actions. The only thing I could think of when I was reading this article was Fallout. You know, the Fallout game? Well, not Fallout 76. There's one before that. When you do something, and then the people that are around you or the people in the party is like, so-and-so liked that. So-and-so disliked that. That's what came to mind.
I think China will kind of already let you know if you know how to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes not even.
I'm pretty sure that literally anything we would do will be China disliked that.
Well, the one thing we could do that China probably wouldn't dislike was step out of the way and let them take the #1 spot, because that's the only thing that's going to make them happy.
That's what the bot will eventually say. It's like, well, the algorithm did say we needed to do this.
And we probably should trust an algorithm with these things because
this Air Force targeting AI thought it had a 90% success rate. It was more like 25%.
I love the quote from this guy. It was confidently wrong is what he said. I'm trying to find the
exact quote.
Yeah, it's like, what a surprise. The algorithm did not perform well. It was actually accurate maybe 25% of the time. This is what we call brittle AI.
The algorithm assessed itself and found it was not wanting.
Yeah, well, the algorithm said, here we go. It was confident that it was right 90% of the time, so it was confidently wrong. And that's not the algorithm's fault. It's because we fed it the wrong training data. Holy crap. Somebody they quoted that actually knows what they're talking about.
Well, they only showed it missiles from one angle. And then when it saw them from a different angle, it had no idea what it was.
As one would expect. Because it doesn't know. How would it know?
Apparently they don't have a lot of footage of missiles coming dead on.
All that stuff gets destroyed for some reason.
That's so... we'll just have to set up a camera with, like, a remote recorder.
Yeah, but that's what they brought up. Okay, let's do that. That missile costs, $100,000.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to run that test?
At least 20. What
else? Is that building back better?
It's definitely building something.
By the way, we can't afford to fix the roads or the bridges, but we can afford that.
Yeah, that is really
that's the first thing that gets covered in every budget.
Ugh. All right, what do we got for tomorrow?
Business and I don't remember. It was such a crazy week this week.
It was.
It will be a crazy week this week. Our condolences and or warm wishes for the holiday season because, I'm sure that we all have varying levels of dysfunction around the holidays. So good luck.
I enjoy the holidays, but I don't enjoy driving for the holidays.
How about that new cat? You enjoying that new cat?
I am enjoying that new cat. He's a good boy.
Can we talk about the new cat on the second try?
We did.
We did, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think we talked about it on the first try, weirdly enough. So
It's fine.
we're good.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.